Aardman Animation. Over the years, they've made some fairly wholesome stuff.
Someone arsing around!
From claymation tunes,
I am sexy all the time,
and jokes that would go over the kids' heads.
Then just take a look at my wife's brassicas, ravaged in the night.
But also some stuff that could be described as fairly messed up. Anyway, for the most part, that's not what we're here for today. Instead, we're gonna dive into the void of Aardman missing media, taking a ponder in their archives as to what treasures are left to be uncovered, and hopefully one day we'll get to see them. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the program. In the lead up for Chicken Run 2 Dawn of the Nugget, 3 work prints from the original movie were leaked online, containing some rare and deleted scenes that were never featured in either the final movie or as bonus content on the physical releases. This included Edwina's original death scene, an alternate montage of the chickens falsely learning on how to fly, a deleted scene that involved the joke why the chicken crossed the road, and a slightly rearranged final climax. But there are still several deleted scenes that are not publicly accessible. This involves a flashback sequence of Rocky in the circus, just shortly prior of him being shot out of the cannon. This would have happened right when the hens found out about Rocky's falsehood. The circus man, the only other human outside of the Tweedy scene in the film, would have had a slightly more substantial role, giving a monologue during the flashback. He would have been voiced by John Sherrod, an American actor who's appeared in a fair few titles. But I always remember him best for being the alternate Crichton in the Red Wolf episode Back to Reality. But his role got reduced down where in the final film he only utters one word.
He's valuable, you say?
Sure.
There was as well a cut conversation where we would have learnt more about Rocky's background, such as his relationship with his dad. Beyond Rocky being from the circus, we still don't technically know that much about Rocky's life before he was with Ginger and the hens. Even the Chicken Run sequel didn't provide any new information about Rocky's backstory. Aardman has still got so much more to offer from the original version of Chicken Run. Let's hope that one day more will be unearthed from their archive. After the release of Chicken Run, Aardman's next feature film was going to be a stop-motion movie, based off the story of the tortoise and the hare. The project's most commonly referred to as the tortoise versus the hare, as that was what it was originally called during the early announcements. But there have been some people that worked on the movie to just simply call it The Tortoise and the Hare. And there's a Jim Henson film called Tortoise vs Hare, so that's made it less easy for me on the research side. But for this video, I'm just going to refer to the movie as the former. The project was mentioned as early as October of 1999, with Aardman's first film Chicken Run not being released not until for another 8 months. So Aardman was already fully thinking ahead. The cast was announced to include Bob Hoskins, Brenda Blethyn, Orlando Jones, and Lee Evans. Development began very shortly after the release of Chicken Run. However, in mid-2001, it was announced that production on the film was postponed, citing that the script needed major rework. But there would be no further confirmation on the development of the film. It wasn't until 11 years later that an article on the Ain't It Cool News website revealed on how chaotic production really was on the movie. Actors were on and off the project, sets being built only for them to be teared down without them ever being used. It was a nightmare to say the least. For years it was completely unknown if anything was ever filmed of the movie. It wouldn't be until March of 2023 that Aardman animator Susie Fagan-Parr would finally upload a clip of the unmade movie straight onto her Instagram account. It features a motherly character telling a child a bedtime story about a race between a tortoise and a hare, slightly tweaking the story, making sure that the tortoise comes out on top.
That hare fell asleep, and by the time the hare woke up, it was too late, because that brave little tortoise had crossed the line.
Susie sourced the clip from her animation reel, but unfortunately she can't quite recall if anything else was animated for the film. Oh well, at least we have this clip for now. Apparently there is a draft circulating in script trading circles. So if it is true, let's hope that one day that script can re-emerge online. If you ask me what the best Aardman movie is, then I'd say it's Chicken Run. But Pirates in an Adventure with Scientists is pretty bloody close. However, when it was first released, it had a fair bit of controversy around it. I'm sure many of you may be aware of the infamous leprosy joke made in the trailer.
And I'm here for your gold. Gold? Afraid we don't have any gold, old man. This is a leper boat.
This had gained a lot of traction from the Leper Health and Action Group and the World Health Organization, stating that the joke reinforces the stereotypes that comes with leprosy and may prevent people with the symptoms to come forward for treatment. Aardman complied with this and redubbed the joke, which I think it was a pretty sensible move, and it's a very incidental change that doesn't affect the punchline.
Gold? This is a plague boat, old man. I'd give my right arm for some gold. Or my left.
Also, Pirates received a U rating for its UK release, and the movie got away with quite a fair bit. I know people gave flack to Watership Down for having a U rating for 40 plus years, but have you seen some of these raunchy jokes from Pirates?
Airship will revolutionize the fields of cartography, but mostly it's for looking down ladies' tops.
It's true! You can see down ladies' tops!
Keep peddling, Charles!
It certainly sounds like a joke that belongs in a Carry On film. Yet again, British humour is notorious for being a little bit brash. The movie's age rating is something I certainly do recall being quite topical at the time, even making it on BBC News.
Sorry, it's just... that's my favourite bit.
Anyway, Aardman had a lot of high expectations for the film. They were in the process of planning a follow-up. The Pirates movie was an adaptation of the book with the same name, which spawned many follow-up books, so there was a wealth of material to work from. In midsummer of 2012, Aardman teased about the sequel, revealing that the title was going to be The Pirates in an Adventure with Cowboys. They were just waiting from the go-ahead with Sony. Unfortunately, while the movie did make back its money, it wasn't as successful internationally as Sony was hoping for, so the sequel idea was abandoned, and with the exception of the title, we still don't know that much about the sequel, if any scripts or storylines were ever produced.
It's the Abominable Snowman.
I don't like being abominable, you know.
In 2012, while Aardman was still under the wing of Sony, there were plans to adapt the book The Abominables into a film. The book was by the author Ian Bitson, who initially wrote it in 1994, but it was never published until after her death. There's unfortunately not a lot known about the Aardman adaptation. The only reason we know about it to begin with is only because it was featured on Aurélien Prézat's website, who was on board for a short time producing several bits of concept art. We don't even know if the film would have either been in CGI or in Aardman's classic stop-motion style. In 2021, being unrelated to this Abominable Snowman project, Aardman did make a semi-movie on the alleged cryptid, in the form of a Channel 4 Christmas special, Terry Pratchett, The Abominable Snow Baby.
No one wants to stay with me.
What was going on last night?
What do you mean?
Well, I got up to go to the toilet and there were all these strange noises coming from you and Mum. Mostly from Mum, actually.
In 1998, Aardman embarked into a very different series unlike any other they've previously made. Titled Angry Kid, truly fun for the whole family, just as long as they're over the age of 15 and are a little bit mental.
Boys at school said you were probably giving Mum a damn good seeing to. What do they mean by that then?
No idea.
Mum?
£5.
What?
I'll give you £5 if you never mention this again.
Angry Kid followed the day-to-day activities of a young preteen who, let's say, isn't very wholesome. Ow! Each episode would run for about a minute or a minute and 10 seconds. The show initially started airing on the BBC before being moved to Channel 4, and from season 3 onwards, Angry Kid and his sister were animated by CGI instead of stop motion. In 2008, episodes were being uploaded to the official Angry Kids YouTube channel. Nearly all of them were uploaded, barring 2 shorts. One titled Road Safety,
Danger!
Are you out of your tiny little mind, man? You what?
Being a parody of the vintage Green Cross Code adverts.
Look, it's Green Cross Man.
Looks like you two need a lesson in crossing the road.
With Angry Kid being the innocent child, it goes just about as well as you would expect.
Listen to me. Oh dear. I'm trying to save your pointless little life.
Hate me, you blooming weirdy. Nonsense.
Shut up. Danger!
And the other short is titled Marathon Man, where the angry kid is trying to dodge a dog that's chasing him.
Hasta la vista, dog lips. Bitch! Oh, that showed him.
However, for several years there was a theoretical third missing episode. Fans had noted that there was promotional material of Angry Kid holding a pork chop that never turns up in any of the available episodes. It was speculated that these images came from a proposed Angry Kid pilot. The search had gained enough traction to be made into an article on the Lost Media Wiki, but later on this was debunked, as there was no Lost Pork Chop episode. The pork chop that the Angry Kid is holding was a prop that was made for brand new animations on the DVD menu.
I'm the daddy now. Bullet.
In 1998, BBC Two began airing the stop-motion series Rex the Runt, aimed towards a teen/young adult audience. So the dialogue and humour can sometimes be a little bit more raw, compared to the more famous Aardman titles.
Intimate life in all its passionate splendour.
You're a big fat jelly wobbly fat bastard, Bob.
Fat bastard.
The show ran for 2 seasons and 26 episodes. But over the years it has amassed a faithful cult following, thanks to its dry and wacky humour.
Tell me our coordinates.
Over the Pacific. There you are.
What time is it?
Dinner time.
How much fuel we got left?
We're gonna run out now.
The show featured cameos from various other Aardman IPs.
The window cleaner's arrived, and I think he's a burglar.
Don't worry. Leave it to me. Don't even think about it.
In 1996, a pilot was created of the show titled North by North Pole. It was slightly reworked to be included in the 2-parter episode, Adventures on the Telly, but to date the original version of the pilot has never been fully released. Additionally, the Rex character has appeared in 3 prior shorts. The earliest is a 1989 Channel 4 short film titled Ident, where a similar designed dog appears in the film, so a very much proto-version of the Rex dog. And then in 1991, 2 short films centering on Rex and his friends were made, acting as proto-pilots for the final show. They were each only about roughly 2 minutes long. They were titled How Dinosaurs Became Extinct and Dreams. A clip from the dinosaur short was featured in the episode The Trials of Wendy. The tone and style are very close to the final show, but it's interesting to see that the character of Wendy was openly made the love interest, but when it came to the main programme, she doesn't really have a love affair or a romance with Rex. She's just part of the gang.
This is Wendy, my love interest. She makes me melt.
Oh, Rex. I love it when you do that. Okay, I'll go along with this charade. As long as I don't have to play your love interest and the camera doesn't linger on my full bosom.
These 2 short films were never released on home media, but they were made available to view on the Atoms Films website, a video platform site, hosting many independently made shorts. However, the site was shut down by 2012. But thankfully the 2 shorts have since been remirrored on the internet, being uploaded so early on in the early days of video platforms on the internet. The uploads are only available in a 240p resolution. Not to sound ungrateful, but it certainly would be lovely to have the episodes in a higher quality. Ah well, maybe one day. The creator of Rex the Runt, Richard Starzak, would later go off and co-create and direct the Christmas special Robbie the Reindeer. It was quite similar to Rex in both its humour and art style. The reindeers are animated in a semi-2D perspective, and the lady reindeers seem to have a pronounced chest, not too dissimilar from Wendy. Robbie would go off to spawn 2 more sequels. Overall, the original Robbie the Reindeer is my personal favourite stop-motion special to centre on a reindeer.
I'm Robbie. I've got a magic nose. I can find my way here.
At least Robbie's dad got out of this frozen hole. He was a smart reindeer that ruled.
Oh, no. I will not have that name said in my presence.
I remember the audition very clearly. I had to do things like, I had to vocalise Sean being pulled along by a lawnmower, and I remember kind of going...
During the early 2000s, Aardman had noticed that the spike in Sha the Sheep sales outgrossed the merchandise of Wallace and Gromit.
It was partly due to Baby Spice wearing a Sha the Sheep rucksack in a photograph, and suddenly Sha the Sheep, just rocketed.
So it was decided to make a spin-off TV series of the character, with a pilot being produced sometime after the production of Chicken Run, but shortly before Aardman's pre-production on Curse of the Were-Rabbit. By 2007, the BBC would eventually commission the series, with the first 5 seasons airing on CBBC, with season 6 being picked up by Netflix. And then the franchise would then receive 2 movies. The popularity of Sha the Sheep has spawned a slew of new merchandise, with some of it being official and others, well, don't look so official. I mean, I'm pretty sure that the official merch doesn't have the label 100% quality.
The Nova of the Ocean of the Cleverness. That is, of course, the official subtitle of Sha the Sheep as given by Aardman Productions. Sha the Sheep, the Nova of the Ocean of the Cleverness.
17 years on since the show first launched, and the pilot still remains to be inaccessible to view. The only material that has resurfaced online is this promotional still/screenshot of the production. From what we can tell, it looks like the plot would have evolved around the sheeps playing footy. The field that they're playing in doesn't look like the finalised farm that we'd see in the show. It appears that the large sheep of Shirley has a tuft of wool on top of her head, which is how she's visualised in the concept art. As in the final show, she doesn't have that defining factor, and the sheep extras closely resemble the flock seen in a close shave, as the sheeps featured in the final show have a different head structure for their design. The sheep extras might even be the same models used in a close shave, although Sean doesn't exactly look on point to his original appearance, so it was probably a newly made plasticine model of the character. It remains to be seen if the pilot will ever be released.
Imagine if a Polish child actually bought these in the shops without having seen Sha the Sheep. He must wonder what the it's about. It's about some weird boiled men, pig that has its teeth kicked out on a regular basis. Well, I can't even begin to describe what that is about.
Capping things off, we have the double act of Wallace and Gromit in their very first feature film, The Curse of the Were-Rabbit. Originally, the film was going to be called The Great Vegetable Plot. The idea behind the title with the Aardman team, that it was elevating the boring and mundane subject of vegetables into something quite exciting, which was quite in keeping with the Wallace and Gromit franchise. But the DreamWorks marketing team didn't find the title to be that appealing. Their verdict for changing the title was because that vegetables didn't tested well with kids. But that wasn't the only big altercation that was going on behind the scenes. You see, the original plot for Were-Rabbit was very different and even slightly darker. Now, before I go on, it's pretty well known that Aardman and DreamWorks had a fairly rocky relationship. It would happen that there would be creative clashing.
And you were asked to change Mr. Grobag's flask of brandy for a carrot juice carton, which is ridiculous, really, because you would never have spotted it anyway.
But when we come to the movie's plot, we don't know quite the full extent on how the discussion about the story went between both parties. Maybe it might have been DreamWorks to demand the changes of the story, or it was Aardman that independently changed the story on their own accord, or maybe it was some equal collaboration. I say this because I don't want to turn this video into a weapon against Katzenberg or DreamWorks. I don't know what happened behind those closed doors, so I'm not going to assume or pretend on who called the shots. Anyway, back to the original story. A lot of the info we know about it comes from the audio commentary to the film, and as well as some of the bonus deleted scenes on the disc. During the development of the movie, the Aardman team were watching a lot of vintage horror movies. The Universal classics, An American Werewolf in London, etc, etc. But one of the biggest movies that took their interest early on was the original 50s version of The Fly, where in the film it features the scientist with the head and hand as a fly, and a fly with the scientist's head and hand. So now the wife has to try and retrieve the original fly in order to bring her husband and the fly back to normality. This same plot point was going to be used in The Curse of the Were-Rabbit, where Wallace needed Hutch to reverse back to normal, and from there Hutch would have reverted back to a normal rabbit. There would have been a fair few complications that would have arisen during the original storyline, such as Hutch running off to join a George Hornby Society band, and Wallace being killed off? Yes, Wallace would have died as a were-rabbit, and Gromit, with the soundtrack of Bright Eyes playing, would have head back home defeated, with Hutch now being his only companion, and with some traits left of Wallace within Hutch, Gromit takes him straight under his wing, treating Hutch like his former master and his best friend. But then they find out in the newspaper that the beast is still alive, so they head out to capture and rescue Wallace. This version was very nearly locked as the final film, as some scenes had already begun animating, but this whole plot was given a complete 180, and some completed scenes like Wallace with the bunny ears near towards the end had to be completely digitally removed. There were many characters and subplots that didn't make it into the final film, such as Wallace and Gromit having a wicked neighbour called Mr. Wormald, who was trying to cheat his way in the vegetable competition. PC Dibbins would have had a romance with Lady Tottington, and the both of them would have been wed at the end. And there were many, many raw jokes.
I remember I had a lot, storyboarding this, I had to cut so much out as well. I wanted, some of the slightly naughtier jokes. I think there were more of them originally. And I think it was like my kind of slight affectionate nod towards Benny Hill and Carry On.